Hi, it's Martin from Lynx, and this is a video to help you decide whether moving to the cloud is right for your organisation. Hi, my name's Martin Scudder. I work here at Lynx Networks in the sales team, and this video is a basics look at cloud computing. The reason we're doing a video on cloud computing today is really around two things. Firstly, we are bombarded in our personal and professional life with messages about why it's the right time to move to cloud services. But also, Windows 2008 Release 2 gets to end of support in January 2020. So a lot of our customers are faced with a question now as to what to do with their servers. Do we simply upgrade to a newer version of Windows, or is it the right time to think about a different strategy and maybe move to the cloud? So it's never been a better time, I would argue, to actually think about your server strategy and consider, is the cloud right? Let's start with a definition of what the cloud is. Now, I'm not going to pretend this is scientific. I haven't borrowed this from anybody else. This is just my view. But the cloud to me is a collection of computing resources, and by that I mean memory, processing power, disk space, that kind of thing. And the key is that it's hosted by another company or organisation away from your premises. It's available over an internet connection, and that can often worry people, but it doesn't have to be overly complicated. In fact, it shouldn't be confusing at all. So why would we use the cloud? Well, it's very easy and very true to say that it's a cost conversation. I'm not going to suggest that moving to the cloud is definitely cheaper than buying new equipment, but if you look at a fuller picture, if you look at the cost of buying the new equipment and then the powering of that equipment, the cooling of that equipment, maybe it takes up a lot of floor space that could be better utilised in some other way. And then there's your time managing that equipment. That all adds up, and ultimately it almost certainly will be more cost effective to move all of that into the cloud and take all of that worry away. Then there are other things. There's the scalability side of things. If you decide you want more disk space or you need more memory, you need the applications to run more quickly. It's the speed of a mouse click. That's how long it takes to upgrade your services. You decide what you want, you order it, you press a mouse to say, yes, I want that, and it's done. You could do that at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. There's no interruption to services, there's no downtime. That's simply not possible with a traditional on-site piece of hardware. Then there's the security side of things. Cybersecurity, the amount of money, the amount of investment that these cloud organizations spend to ensure that your data is secure, to secure your data from cyber attacks, and even the processes in place should anything happen to mitigate that, to mitigate the effects of any kind of attack. It's so much better than what the majority of us could ever wish to be able to spend and be able to achieve. And then there's the physical security as well. I'd like to think that our premises are fairly secure, all of us, but there's no getting away from the fact that where these data centers are highly secure. You're never going to get in. So everything to do with that cloud service is ultimately better than anything you can offer yourself. So why wouldn't you use the cloud? And there are some real reasons why you wouldn't move to the cloud. A lot of people think that the first and main reason not to move to the cloud is because they simply lose control of their hardware, they're losing control of their data. I don't necessarily subscribe to this view. Yes, it's true that your device is no longer on site, that your data is no longer at the end of a fingertip. But I don't think that necessarily means that you've lost control. You're going to access your server in exactly the same way that you access your server right now. It's going to be a web browser, and you've got access to your data. You can treat it in exactly the same way. It's just that it's not in front of you. So I don't necessarily subscribe to that viewpoint. There are some very real reasons though. The first that springs to mind is compliance. Maybe your organization is working under regulations that insist upon the location of the data. Maybe your data has to be stored within the UK. Now, I've already said that cloud operators work over the internet. The whole point of the data center is you don't know where that is. So it's worth checking to make sure, if you are looking to move to the cloud, speak to your cloud provider if you're worried about these regulations, and just see whether they can guarantee that they will keep your data in the UK. If they can't offer you that guarantee, then it has to be a consideration that you cannot move to the cloud. Another consideration is intensive applications that require fast network speeds. So it might be a database, it might be something like CAD drawings, for example. But these kind of things need to be on a very fast network. And with all the will in the world, with all the great technology advances and all of our wonderful new internet connections, we are still using an internet connection, and it's never going to be as fast as a local area network. So in those cases, there is a very real argument for keeping that on-prem and keeping it within your organisation on a machine on your local area network. So is there an alternative? Well, the alternative is to carry on as normal. The alternative is to carry on doing what you're already doing. So you would buy some new hardware, you'd upgrade your Windows, etc., etc. But really the downsides of that are what I've already discussed. So the downsides are upgrading is difficult. There is less scalability. Maybe your device is highly scalable, but we need to think about downtime. We need to plan these things. If you want to add more processing power, if you need more memory, even if you want more disk space, 9 times out of 10, that means downtime. That means you can't just do it. That takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of investigation, and then you ultimately need to let the company know when they're not going to be able to carry on business as usual. It's not the end of the world. It's what 99 out of 100 of us do right now, but I think we've shown there is a better way. So is there a compromise? Well, I think yes, there is, and it's the hybrid cloud. Now, the hybrid cloud is quite difficult to define because it means different things to different people. But here at Lynx, we would suggest a hybrid cloud is using the right tools for the right job. So the ideal in our world is to combine everything and get the best of all the different services that you're looking for and make sure that everything runs as smoothly and as quickly as possible. And then we're looking at things like backup to cloud as well. Backing up to the cloud is the perfect compromise. If you've got on-site applications running, the best thing to do is automate that backup off-site. And there is no easier way nowadays than to do that to the cloud. Rather than worrying about tape backups and managing all of that, just run it to the cloud. Similarly, it's really, really important that anything you're storing in the cloud is backed up. Cloud providers will secure against data loss. And there is a common misconception that that means that you don't have to back up. What it means is they are not going to lose any data. They're going to do everything they can to not lose any data. It doesn't mean that they are guarding against you losing your data. And we don't lose our data, but we quite often accidentally delete it, or something corrupts, or something happens. That's where backup is critical. Backing up to another cloud provider is the easiest and simplest way to guard against that. So to conclude, I think it's fair to say that the cloud is the future. More and more of us are using the cloud now, and that's only going to increase. We have to think about the cloud when we're thinking about our servers and data storage in the future. In fact, I think it's fair to say most of us already use the cloud in our personal lives. If you store photos on Facebook, for example, you're using the cloud. You know it works, you trust that service, you're not worried about when you get home, are all of your photos going to have disappeared? You know they'll be there. And I think it's time that we can put that faith into a cloud service for our workplace as well. It's right to say it may not be right for everybody. We've already discussed certain situations where it might not be right to move to the cloud, but I think I've shown that a hybrid approach is probably the best bet, and using the right tool for the right job. But it does need to be carefully considered. So finally, there's obviously a reason for us making this video. Amongst all of the cloud providers out there, Lynx now have Lynx Flex, which is our own cloud service. So if anything in this video has been of interest, if there's anything that you are thinking about with your own journey, with replacing servers or upgrading applications, if there's anything that's confusing you and you would like some impartial advice, anybody who works with Lynx knows that our ethos is we never sell you anything we don't think you need. We're happy to come out and sit down with you, go through what it is you're looking to do, what's maybe confusing you, what's difficult or you see as a challenge, and we'll talk about what's right for you. Maybe it's the cloud, maybe it's Lynx Flex, maybe it's neither, but we can talk about what's right for you.